I will
Thank
be
you.
giving a lecture on the topic the terrorism. So I will be discussing this topic in 5 points. First, we will know what is terrorism, and then we will analyze the reason which got affected by terrorism, and then we will know about the causes, what causes terrorism, and also we will discuss about some conspiracy related to terrorism, and at last, of course, we will know how to control terrorism. So, terrorism, the term terrorist or terrorism was first used in the French Revolution of the 18th century, and it is basically defined as an act of violence, intentional violence to obtain a particular type of political uh, aims, and it is used during peacetime or at the context of war against the non-combat, such as civilian or the neutral military personnel. But the terrorism has become popular since 1970s, and when the world heard about the Northern Ireland conflict and also the Basque Country conflict, in which ETA separatist movement, ETA's separatist use terrorism against the Spain, and also the Philistine conflict, which has given the broad definition of terrorism. And after 1980s, uh, the increase of suicide attacks has increased so many times, so much. And we have a popular attack such as September 11 attack in New York City and Washington DC in the year 2001. So now we will analyze the reason which is affected by terrorism. So by terrorism, approx 12,000, on an average 12,000 people get killed every year, and out of that number, almost we can say half, that is 41% of the people who get killed are from Afghanistan. So Afghanistan has the highest casualty level, and after Afghanistan, it's come Iraq and Syria. Iraq and Syria, uh, although their cases have declined from the last 4 to 5 years, now they have very low deaths, that is under 500 to 1000. And just like Afghanistan have the Taliban, the most dangerous group who causes the majority of the casualty. The Iraq and Syria have ISIL, Islamic State of Iraq and Lebanon, which causes the majority of the casualty. And now just talk about Pakistan. So Pakistan has a good history of state-sponsored terrorism, and its case has also decreases over the last 10 years. It has a casualty on an average of about 300, which has improved. And uh, Tahrik il Ta- Tahrik il Taliban and the JEM are the main group, deadliest forces which cause majority of the casualty in Pakistan. Now let's talk about the terrorism in India, that how India has been affected. So in India, there were at least 560 terrorist attack and 277 death from terrorism in the year 2019. And although this has been shown that there is a 20% decrease regarding 2018, and since although India has the lowest number of terrorism death among the other countries who have been affected by the terrorism, and India faces wider range of challenge from groups such as the Islamist group, the communist, and the separatist group active across the country. So the MAST, the Communist Party, and the Jaish-e-Mohammed are the main groups who causes the maximum number of casualty in India by performing terrorism. Now we can discuss about the causes of terrorism. So basically, terrorism, uh, what what causes a terrorist to perform a act of terrorism is because they have a particular type of belief to obtain such political aim, or to achieve a religious way. So they just perform like religious terrorism or a political, or also the independent or separatist type of view. And also there is a such a type of terrorism that exists is called eco-terrorism, to defend the environment uh, by the use of violence. So basically, the people who join terrorism have some issues such as their identity issue regarding their race or religion or ethnicity. They also have some mental disorder and unemployment issues. So now we will discuss about some conspiracy related to terrorism. So we know that a particular type of terrorist attack or terrorism happen in a controlled manner by a politically organized groups. And we can suppose, for example, a terrorist attack has happened in London. So we can say that okay, so it was done by Islamist terrorist, and a particular group is responsible for it. But it is hard to actually analyze or know that who has actually ordered, because we have seen that the Al Qaeda or Taliban, which was initially formed or funded by America government against Russia. So then there is a conspiracy that American used that same type of force against them to perform the September 11 attack. So that will give America a key access to the Middle East. And also the Russian government faces so many blame that they have been funding so many separate, so many Philistine terrorist organization against the Israel and the West. So it is really hard to know that who are actually behind a terrorist attack. It could be the government of USA, the government of Russia, or the government of China. So and last we will discuss about how to control terrorism. So the most two efficient way to control terrorism are basically, number one is naming and shaming, and number two is cutting the fund. These are the two most important ways by which we can control terrorism. And also, by using the armed forces, we cannot actually do so, because if if the armed forces kill terrorists and there is a continued flow of funds and also the arms, weapons, so it cannot stop, because for every one terrorist kill, there is we can say there is 3 to 4 new terrorists come, and they raise weapon against the armed forces, just like we see in Afghanistan. The Afghan used for tactics against the Americans. So it is important, if we really want to see a world free of terrorism, then we have to cut the fund, and also we have to shame the terrorism, that so many people involved in terrorism, they fund it. Even the civilian, rich businessman, political party and government, they all fund, and just like we have seen, for example, on the rise of ISIS, so many civilian from the Gulf countries, they have funded ISIS indirectly. So we need to expose those people, their name, and we need to shame them in order and we need to spread the awareness so that uh, they can stop this type of shameful act. And also, when it's cutting to fund cutting fund is very important. That's why FATF, or Financial Action Task Force, come into the action, which is basically in 2001 given the mandate to hand the finance hand the funding of the terrorism by the armies. So by these two method, by cutting the fund and by the technique naming and shaming, we can actually control terrorism in a real way. That was my topic.